Time to get down to the nitty-gritty, James. What should fans really expect from their UCF Knights this season?
Well, we think amazing things are coming. We're expecting great things come Bethune-Cookman.
Let's go.
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On UCF, your daily UCF podcast. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us on, turn us up. We'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, James Duncan, co-show host and UCF sports commentator extraordinaire here on this weekend edition of Locked On UCF. On today's show, what is the confidence in the QB2? It's time to talk about Kaleb Annett. I thought we'd be talking about Kewan Jenkins, but it looks like we need to be talking about Kaleb Annett.
Yes, and then we are going to get into a little bit of a question, but I'm going to leave that mystery for the second segment, guys.
Yeah, what happens if? I think the first question we're going to ask is what happens if you expect too much or too little of the UCF Knights. That's going to be our first segment here on this Saturday, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your likes and subscribes help keep us the #1 source of UCF football content on YouTube or anywhere. Also, support for today's show comes to you via our title sponsor, Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app. That's KALSHI for a limited time. Download Kalshi and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. Starting at the top here. I have gone back and forth with fans about expectations. There are those who think that we, and when I say we, us here at Locked On UCF, are setting fans up for a massive letdown this season with this team. To them, I say hogwash. I don't know. I don't want to be dismissive of the history of jadedness that comes with getting your hopes up and then having them smashed on the rocks. I know that all too well. But I don't think that we should ignore the reasons why this team is better and potentially in a good spot in the Big 12 this coming season. We've highlighted the schedule a million times. Guys, this is a favorable schedule compared to last year where you had to go on the road and play BYU. You had to go on the road and play Texas Tech. I mean, it was a pretty difficult conference schedule that last year. This year, you have a more favorable cycle. You lose Texas Tech, but you still have BYU, but at home. And I think 4 games into the season, there should still be a lot of hope alive. I've talked about that Pitt game early being a good preseason, early season test. Talk to me, man, about your season expectations. Now that we know a little bit more about this team, we've sat down with the coaches, you've talked to the players in person. Are your expectations higher or lower at this point?
Well, it was funny. I put out a tweet yesterday that said, "Oh my Lord, can football just start already?" Because we are so I am itching. I'm itching for football. We've got a couple preseason NFL games that are going on right now, and I've watched every single one of them, and I don't need to. I just need football. I think the expectation has never been, personally for me, I've never expected more out of a UCF team, at least since I've been covering the team or, been involved with the team until this year. I think my expectations for this team are higher because of what I'm seeing personally.
Is that mostly because of Alonza Barnett? Does a lot of that hope come from him being a dude at quarterback?
100%. I think over the past couple of years, I think the only quarterback that I ever believed in was 2023 Plumlee. After seeing him his first season and seeing that he was coming back, seeing his progression of talent, he got a lot more comfortable with his arm in his second year. And then when we went out and got KJ, watching some of his Arkansas tape, I was like, wow, this is going to be great. And then when I saw him in practice, it was like, oh my God, what happened between then and now for him to be looking like this? It's funny. There was a comment that I saw on that tweet that someone said, I don't remember the last time a UCF quarterback was comfortable throwing an over-the-shoulder ball for a touchdown, even in practice.
Yeah, I saw that.
Shout out whoever wrote that tweet, because it made me think. I was like, I don't actually remember when the last time I saw that was, because seriously, in a black and gold uniform, when is the last time that we saw someone like that?
It feels like you got to be kind of intentionally blind to not see where there is massive potential on this roster, starting with Alonza Barnett, but also going to that running back room. I don't think that we're talking about Duke Watson enough.
I agree.
I saw a clip of him essentially talking about his expectations for himself. I don't know if you saw this, but my guy is like, I'm here to tear stuff up. We are here to win at UCF. We're here to bring UCF back. And yes, I mean back, because they've been there. They've been to the promised land. You've won every single game in a season. That's not something a lot of schools can say. Now, all schools hold undefeated seasons. UCF has one, and they had to beat a pretty good SEC team to do it in a bowl game in that team's backyard.
It's tough to even tell people that things are going to be good, because there's this eternal mindset of, well, if you expect bad things to happen, then when they happen, you won't be disappointed. Mike, have you watched Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I love it. My favorite Ted Lasso scene ever was the dartboard scene where he's like barbecue sauce at the end.
Barbecue sauce.
It gives the best speech talking about people underrating him his whole life. Right? Yeah, and
100%.
I love that. I thought it was one of the greatest moments in TV history.
So going off of that show, there is a very specific saying in that show that they have that is, it is the hope that kills you. There was a long time in that show where Richmond, they were a bad team, and every single time they had an opportunity to be good, they would fall at the knees of that opportunity and they would fail. I think for the past couple years, that has been UCF. UCF was a 4-8 team when, in Gus's last year, and they had one of the top running backs in the draft. And they had a perfect opportunity to seize multiple games that season. Last year, we were a 5-7 team with a brand new head coach. We could have been 8-5 if probably 7 or 8 plays went differently. You change 3 things in a season that can change the entire outcome of your season. Right. It is the hope that can kill you. And people are so used to that they don't want to be excited. They don't want to be hopeful, Mike.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
Look around. It's horrible. These people in our comments are going, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I talked about this a lot across almost every channel I do. When hope in a program dies, that's when coaches get fired. When there is no hope, those donors, they stop donating. Fans stop showing up. They don't cheer as loud. They don't stay the whole game. When there's no hope, it's time to change your coach. And I think that in this first offseason, Scott Frost and his team did a good job of going out and assembling a roster that could give us some hope. They may be some relative unknowns, but if you watched last season, it's clear where the hope lies. The hope lies in that you had a great defense. The hope lies in that your run game was still pretty decent. The hope lies in that you could be just one quarterback away from +3 or 4 wins in the Big 12. The hope lies in the schedule being favorable compared to other teams' Big 12 schedules. Hope is a very, very powerful thing. And, I want fans to have hope in this season. Look, if it all comes crashing and burning and you want to come here and laugh in our faces and say, you guys had hope, that's certainly a choice. But right now, I'm not going to not have hope in the team. I know there are those out there putting that kind of energy in the air. I would challenge you to be careful who you allow in your ear during this time, because the team needs your positive energy, man. They need fans to have a hope, because they need those fans as loud as possible when it comes down to the fourth quarter at home. And you're making it hell on the opponents. I want the bounce house so loud they can't get a playoff, man. Do you know that clip of Penn State versus Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
where they're just getting
They're trying to snap. They're trying to snap the ball. They
can't even get a snap off, man. That's what I need that to start the season. So don't tell me that, oh, I'm excited about everything but the game. Go kick rocks, man. This team, I think, has massive potential. And you know, the players are starting to get noticed and make lists. Dylan Wade is going to be one of the best tight ends in the country. Alonza Barnett is throwing him deep balls. I think there's a plan to use him in the deep passing game. I mean, they're going to do some things, I think, that aren't really on tape now that they got Alonza at quarterback.
100%, 100%. And, you know, just to kind of go back to the scene that you mentioned, this team can and will be barbecue sauce because they are underrated and they've been underrated. Notice that every single list or sports book or whatever, they're going, I don't know if this team's going to make a bowl game. But we're sitting here looking at the schedule and going, how are you saying that? Look at the teams that you're playing. Look at the team that you have. If you want to be one of those people that's, oh, the team's guilty until proven innocent, sure, go ahead. Go live a miserable life in the preseason. Right. But we over here at Locked on UCF think this team is talented and has the potential to be great until proven otherwise. Like Mike said, if they crash and burn and they win 2 games this season, and those games are Bethune-Cookman and Georgia State, you guys can come over here and push it in our faces. I don't care. But in this time, the season expectation for me, Mike, is that we go out and we win 7-8 games, if not more.
Yeah. Look, set your expectations appropriately for you. But I'm telling you, if you watch us, our expectations are going to be high because I think they deserve that respect. They put in that work this offseason. So I don't expect them to go crash and burn because I don't expect all that hard work to be for nothing. These guys worked their butts off this offseason for you, for me, so that we could be sitting here talking about UCF football in August. Let's get to our first break, James. And when we come back, I want to play a little game of what happens if. I didn't prime you up for this segment intentionally because I want to get your genuine reaction. But we'll talk about that next, right here on Locked on UCF. James, hiring is hard. And my friend, I know there are a ton of people out there trying to hire you. How's that resume looking, by the way?
Oh, that resume is clean.
Yeah. Oh, I should hope so. Support for today's show comes to you by our friends at Indeed. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed sponsored jobs will help connect employers with candidates like James, who match specific needs and skills and certifications and location, most importantly. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. James, you know from your own recent work experience, everybody's out there looking for a guy that they can do the job that they believe in, that has skills, but also has drive and work ethic and integrity, right? And Indeed is helping connect employers with employees just like that every single day. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In fact, in the minute that we've been talking, employers just like the one you work for made over 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job the premium status it deserves right here on Indeed.com. But you got to go to Indeed.com/podcast. Head to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by you saying you heard about it right here on Locked on UCF. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We have picked up a lot of subscribers so far this month, but I need 200 more. I need 200 more subscribers before the season starts. Tell your friends, tell your grandmama, tell your stepmama, have everybody subscribe on YouTube to Locked on UCF. Before we get into this next segment, you know, I got an opportunity recently to participate in something. You know, my history with chronic illness and some of the things I go through. Finding good doctors is difficult. But it seems like a lot of men I know recently are getting diagnosed with prostate cancer. James, prostate cancer is one of the most treatable forms of cancer if you catch it early. We are working with the Mike Sly Foundation to encourage the men in your life to go get tested. It's a simple blood test. It's all it takes. And if they catch it early, they can treat it. And prostate cancer doesn't have to get you. Guys, go get tested for prostate cancer. I know it's kind of a random thing. It's not an official locked on thing. I just thought I'd mention to you guys. We've been working with the Mike Sly Foundation. And when you look at the stats, it's actually remarkable how many people just don't go get tested when they go to the doctor already. It's just simple blood test. Look, if you catch it early, it's treatable. But what happens if in football? I'm switching back to football. We've talked a lot about Alonza Barnett, but James, what happens if Alonza Barnett gets hurt?
Oh no!
What happens to this offense if Alonza Barnett gets hurt? Scott Frost has talked about the monumental strides that Kaleb Annett has made since spring till now. And I've explained to you guys, when you don't have your dude at quarterback, the playbook shrinks because you got to run concepts that he can execute. How much does this playbook shrink? What happens if he gets hurt? What does this team look like with Kaleb Annett at quarterback? You've seen him in practice.
That's it. Like if you had asked me that 3 months ago, I would have told you we were SOL. But Kaleb's looked really good. And I think in the initial part of spring, Kaleb didn't necessarily have the running aspect that I thought like the other QBs had. I think Rocco's really comfortable on the ground. Alonza's really comfortable on the ground. Lights is really comfortable on the ground. Kaleb didn't necessarily have that running aspect that I anticipated. But then we saw him actually in the spring scrimmage, and he looked quick. And I think he got a lot more comfortable on the ground because even in fall, he'll pull it and he'll run up, run between the tackles. And it's actually really, it makes your confidence in QB2 go up because you have an established starter in Keywan that has played group of 5, and he started for 3-4 years at FIU. Now you have your super talented freshman Rocco Mariotti, who's developed quite a lot in the past couple months. I mean, he has gone from
they really like him. The way they're talking about him, I'm like, ooh, yeah, this kid clearly is the future.
He has gone from a prospect that we looked at as raw talent to, man, this guy, if he's not QB1 next year, we're going to be surprised. And then you have Kaleb Annett, who never really played at Boise, but he also was bringing in raw talent. He kind of reminds me of like a Mikey Keene, and a lot of UCF fans will know what I'm talking about. Like when you have to switch up the offense to more of a pure thrower, Kaleb Annett has that kind of innate ability to see things, especially with his deep ball and his medium. Like he knows where to put it. And I think he's gotten significantly more comfortable on the ground in these past couple of weeks. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how he continues his progression. So what happens if Alonza goes down? Next man up. I mean, that's all I can say is next man up. I think obviously the expectations will go down, but I think as a backup quarterback, you can't have that mindset. You got to be like, yeah, dude, I'm going to keep the expectations the same because I have the ability. And I think also the other thing is when you have a great quarterback, it makes your wide receivers better. It makes your tight ends better. It makes all the targets that you have better. If those guys have a backup quarterback come in, the backup gets better.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, right? I think what happens is that you have a chance to show that it's the system that makes the players and it's not the players that make the system.
I agree.
With a massive opportunity if he goes down to show, look, man, we evaluated well. We recruited well. We trained and developed well. So while he may not have been at the top of everybody's board, we know how to pick quarterbacks, right? I mean, how highly recruited was McKenzie Milton?
Not
Coming into
extremely.
UCF, right? Yeah, but he was good enough to lead an undefeated team and hold a ton of UCF quarterback records, which is my point, right? So, I think if he goes down, you've got to figure out a way to keep this team going. And I think what happens is that Scott Frost flexes his offensive muscle a little bit here to keep UCF on track. Before we get to our second break, I want to ask one more, or what happens if this defense gives up 6 more points per game than last year? Last year, UCF averaged 23.6 points per game allowed on defense. That mark was the 7th best mark in the conference. However, in front of them was Houston at 22.8, not even a whole point. And then you had Iowa State giving up 20.2 points per game. Arizona and BYU were right there at 19 points per game, Utah 18 points per game, and obviously Texas Tech made the college football playoff, giving up merely 11 points per game. We're betting a lot on this defense holding serve and continuing to be they were really good just keeping opponents off the scoreboard at times. But if they are not as good at it this year, what happens? What does this team look like? Is UCF having to win a bunch of shootouts? Are they prepared to win shootouts?
I want to real quickly, you just mentioned 7th best in the conference in giving up points. I want to real quickly mention that this defense was on the field more than any other defense in the entire conference. Like, truthfully, minutes on the field, they were on the field longer than I think every other team, if not top 3. For me, it is important to say that because it is the offense that put the defense in that position, not the other way around. The defense had to be on the field because the offense could not hold on to the ball. And so that defense was tired, and you'd see it. Like, the defense wouldn't really give up a ton of points until Q3, Q4, once they've been out on the field pretty much the entire game. What happens if this defense gives up 6 more points a game? I think you end up making it up on the offensive side. But I that's not even a realistic possibility in my brain, because I think this defense, despite losing Malachi and Nigel Eek, got better in a lot of areas. And I don't see a way that they give up 6 more again.
Yeah, look, for reference, UCF possessed the ball on average 30 minutes and 27 seconds per game. That was the 50th best mark in all of college football. So 50th is bad. If you're wondering, 50th is bad. The time of possession definitely has to get better there. I mean, the teams that are holding the ball, Indiana won the national title last year. They possessed the ball on average 33 minutes and 28 seconds. Those extra 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes matter in a football game. That is a lifetime in football. 3 minutes is a lifetime in football. And they were 5th best, up there in the top 5. Georgia was 4. They possessed the ball for 34 minutes per game. All right. Like other teams in the top 10, Ohio State, BYU, they were the best in the Big 12 at possessing the football at 32 minutes and 35 seconds per game. Time of possession matters. It does, right? And if you're giving up points and God, man, I want, if they can just be as good as they were last year, and this offense takes any steps forward. And I'm saying that understanding that everybody else is trying to get better as well. What I'm telling you is, when you look at this schedule, there are teams on UCF schedule that got worse, and the schedule got easier over last year. So I think they're in a really good position. Let's get to our last break, and when we come back, we're gonna go back to Kaleb Annett and talk about our confidence in QB2. We'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors. Support for today's show comes to you via our friends, our title sponsor, Kalshi. That's right, Kalshi. We make a lot of predictions here at Locked On UCF. We predict our Boom Battle or Bust segment was a massive hit. Where we kind of predicted whether a game was a win, a loss, or a toss-up. On Kalshi, before the season kicks off, everyone's making predictions: who wins the division, who makes the playoffs, who's lifting the trophy at the end of the season. Kalshi is America's #1 prediction market platform, so you can trade those predictions in a live market. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probabilities change, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. And for more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. Support for today's show also comes to you via our friends at Odoo, Odoo. Guys, do you ever have a bunch of systems, James? If you're in a job and it feels like one department just doesn't talk to the other,
all the time.
You're like, did you guys get our email? Right? Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. Maybe an app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of just managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal, and that's true in sports just like it is in business. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try Odoo for free today at odoo.com/locked on. That's odoo.com/locked on. Bring your business together today with Odoo. Now that we've seen him, how confident are you in QB2? How confident are you that Kaleb Annett can come into a game? Let's say Alonza just has to go out for a series. Let's start there. Let's say he tweaks a hammy. He's got to go get it rubbed by the trainers. He's got to slap some Bengay on it for a second. But you're in the middle of an important drive. When you send him in there, is he just handing the ball off until we can get Alonza back, or are you running the offense? What kind of QB confidence do we have in QB2 right now?
Well, you seem to have a lot of confidence in the fact that QB2 is Kaleb Annett, guaranteed. I'm interested in that perspective of things, because to me, man, I don't like you're saying 100%, like that's your guy.
I'm speaking as if, but I'm kind of just taking cues from Frost. Like he took a majority. Frost said in a recent press conference, he took a majority of the QB2 snaps, right? And in like, I don't know, man. He's been real honest in how he talks about the players. But like when he was talking about Lights, he complimented him, but he spoke about him very differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Now we got to do another show where I got to play the clip, because I think we played it on another show. I think he's giving us the clues here, but the division of reps tells me a lot. Now we're going into week 2 of fall camp, and he talked about this. He said, look, man, we got to start narrowing down the reps, because I don't have reps for Rocco going into week 2 of fall camp, because I got to get whoever's backing up Alonza real reps. Mm-hmm. It seems as if that's Kaleb Annett right now, because he's garnering most of them this week as we go into open periods. I mean, you're going to be out there with the camera, you'll see, but I have a sneaking suspicion that that's who it's going to be.
I'm with you, but I gotta push you every once in a while.
Okay,
I gotta push for your ideas here. No, I agree, and to be honest, I think Kaleb. People aren't gonna like this. I think people has just as good of an arm as Alonza.
I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
But I think the only thing, not the only thing. I shouldn't say that. I think some of the major things are the experience, the chemistry, the running ability, the general game sense, the I think especially something that I think people haven't really considered is, yeah, Kaleb was at Boise. He didn't play. He hasn't played against another team other than the one that he has been on. He also hasn't been in that real game environment before. And Alonza's been almost to the very, very top. Almost to the very, very top. He played in the college football playoff. He knows what these crazy environments are like. I mean, hell, the guy put up like multiple touchdowns against Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have a little bit of a drop off there, especially like in the mental aspect of things at quarterback. But in terms of QB confidence, I'm just going to say my confidence in the entire room at quarterback 2 is bigger than my confidence from the entire quarterback room for quarterback 1 last year.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things that I think really support that. I think the major thing is just seeing how comfortable the guys are in practice. Now, granted, like you get in the game, practice, everything in practice that happened, is thrown to the wayside. But I think that truthfully, this entire quarterback 2 room would probably get reps over the entire quarterback 1 room last year.
Yeah, last year, right? I would agree. Like, so again, I want to make sure I hear you clearly. You think QB3 is better than any QB1 on last year's team?
Yes.
All right. James Duncan, ladies and gentlemen, says QB, that's a massive upgrade to your quarterback room from where they were. Now, I don't think it's possible for it to get worse than it was last year. I mean, we were in pretty bad shape. I had a zero confidence that there was a quarterback on the roster that could lead a game-winning drive with the game on the line. I just wasn't there, guys. This year, I hope that we see evidence that has completely turned around early in the season in that September schedule. I want to see a ton of guys get time against Bethune-Cookman. It's going to start there. Do you handle business? Do you beat bad teams like they should be beat? Right? I think paying Bethune-Cookman the ultimate respect would be to go put 70 on them.
I agree.
Right. Like, we respect you enough to let you hold this 70 burger because, you know what I mean? Like, I do believe that. I think it's more disrespectful to just let up than to just play football. And
I agree.
I don't think we're going to see as much of a drop off when we go to that second team. That's why when you asked me about Tyron Horns, and I was like, yeah, I see 2 or 3 touchdowns. I don't think they're going to take the foot off the gas in the second half of that game with whoever goes in there at QB2. I think they're going to let him sling it up. And if Tyron is in there, you're going to see him go grab a deep ball. And then you're going to see him break a screen pass or something short for a long touchdown. Those are the 2 things I'm calling. Tyron over the top on a go route. And then Tyron on a 8-yard hitch or something, just juke some guys, break some tackles, and head to the end zone.
For all the Locked On UCF fans that are new fans, there is a real thing on this show, and we're calling it. We're gonna have to have a segment now called Mike the Prophet, because there are real things that we have said that Mike has said where he goes, "Yeah, this is gonna happen," or "This is gonna happen." And then it just happens. Like, we were talking about Tyron Horns, 4 or 5 months ago? Like, or whenever he had first signed, we went and watched his tape. And Mike was like, this kid's going to be good. And then off season, he had not been getting any major reps. He goes, yeah, Tyron Horns going to be, he's going to be freshman, all Big 12. Like, he's going to have this unreal season. We were all like, I don't know. And then slowly the Twitter, the UCF Twitter was like, start posting Tyron Horns clip. He starts getting media time. Now he's getting a lot more. It's like, I don't know, man.
Well,
I don't know.
You watch tape, and we've played tape here on this show, by the way, when we've done recruiting segments. We got to be careful with like copyright stuff, which is why we don't play a lot of tape. But I'll tell you this. I have an all 22 plug this season. I don't know if we'll be able to show it on the show, but I can't wait to look at Tyron Horns on the all 22 to see how he's running his routes. And I mean, you can't grade wide receivers out on broadcast film. You just can't. They're not always in the shot.
Yeah.
So you need that all 22 film. And on my other channel behind our paywall, we do all 22 breakdowns. So you get used to watching film, and when you see a kid who's got that thing. I'm telling you, to me, Tyron looks like a kid that I've covered that's got that thing and that went on to do really, really great things at the college level. I've been a fan from the beginning. I think he was the crown jewel of his recruiting class. I think that he is going to be a career Knight. And I honestly think the next offseason, UCF is going to have to break the proverbial NIL bank to keep him on the roster. Because other teams are going to come knocking. And I hope that he remembers who picked him first, who believed in him first. Tyron, don't always go chase the dollars, my brother. I get it, right? Like, generational wealth is what some of these athletes are making right now at the college level. Let's get him what he needs to keep him a Knight, because whoever is quarterback next year, we know it's not going to be Alonza Barnett. So we need to keep the weapons there for whoever takes over. And if it's a guy that's already on the roster, they're already throwing to Tyron right now. I don't know what could be better for your team than that on offense than that sort of continuity, James. So look, I've got a lot of confidence in based on hearing from Frost in Kaleb Annett, in what we saw from Lights and Rocco Mariotti eventually, whether it's next year or the year after that he ends up taking over the program. I know we were talking about confidence in QB2, but you mentioned the other QBs. I think the future at quarterback will tell you a lot about how they're seeing things, because Rocco, these young guys, they bail out real easy these days.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If they don't see a path to playing time, they're just not going to waste away. And now that we're in 5 for 5 and there are no red shirts, right? Like you don't have seasons to waste on the bench.
Yeah.
You don't. And because while you're waiting, other dudes are at other schools getting tape. I've talked about this a ton on the show, right? Would I rather bring in an Alonza Barnett who has a bunch of tape, albeit at JMU, or do I want to take a chance on a highly touted freshman, but he's a freshman and he's out of high school and he's got no tape at the college level? A lot of coaches are showing that they'd rather go with that FCS or that other guy that has got tape that they can analyze at the college level against college level athletes. So, if Rocco decides to stay around, it's going to be because he knows he's the heir apparent. He's got to know that he's the guy, right? Now, and mind you, he's still got to take care of his business. I'm not saying it's going to be handed to him. Yeah. I'm assuming that he's taking care of his business, James, but I'm with you. I am 1,000% more confident in this QB room over last year's QB room. And if you are not, you're not paying attention. This is a really, really solid QB room, and hopefully they're a good fit for Scott Frost's system. Let's go on and get out of here. James Duncan, UCF sports commentator, co-show host here at Locked On UCF. I want to thank you for joining me. Guys, do us a favor, hit the comments after the video. How confident are you guys in UCF's QB2 or in any QBs behind Alonza Barnett? Doesn't have to be Kaleb Annett. And let us know your season expectations here, right? A lot of you have reached out. Some of you got 6-6 expectations. Some of you got 7-5 expectations. Some of you have said, bump it, Mike, undefeated every offseason. I'm here for it, but we want to hear it again in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your likes and subscribes help keep us the #1 source of UCF football content on YouTube or anywhere. We'll see you guys later today right here on Locked On UCF.